What's up, world? It's another installation of Creative Perceptions where your dreams meet your reality. My name is Zackery Rogers. I am your host for today. Well, technically tonight, but hey, who's date stamping? I guess I am. I'm trying to be consistent. I definitely was not going to do an episode because I was making excuses, but I'm trying to be more consistent. I'm trying to drop content for no matter how long the episode is or short, rather. Today's word, information. Um, we're living in a tumultuous time. The political climate and things of this nature is just getting out of hand. But the word, as you can see, my dog is a little excited about my neighbor or neighbors. She swears she's a pit bull, but she's only a cockapoo and the size of a 10-inch body, or she only weighs 10 inches. Pause. Um, so yeah, today we're going to talk about information, and it's not necessarily getting on in the specifics with the political climate, but it's just making sure that you're equipped with the knowledge. Social media is at a peak, despite TikTok being gone. Um, Social media is where a lot of people get their information from, and it's not necessarily wrong, but that shouldn't be your primary source or your beginning or your go-to. Let's just make sure we're reading articles. Let's make sure we're informing ourselves with books. Let's make sure we're double crossing our references, meaning looking at multiple sources of a credible source. You know, that ethos. I teach English 101 and I teach mass communication. And one of the tasks that I have is creating or helping students develop a research paper in English 102. And then English 101 is starting them to utilize primary sources, secondary sources, the whole nine, or academic sources. So as we continue to go on through this landslide in these next 4 years, it's going to be very imperative. The last few days, we've had federal funding frozen or funding in general. However, there was a big discrepancy on whether or not it would impact or affect Pell Grants or subsidized and unsubsidized loans. And then come to find out within the next 24 hours, the federal freeze was suspended. So definitely I want to have a moment of silence or just pray, like let's just make sure we're keeping those in prayer that lost family due to the tragedy of the airplanes crashing. I definitely want to keep them in prayer, their families in prayer, and just sending love and positivity. It's been rough these few weeks, and it's only January 30th. We're about to go into February, love month. Also, you know, the White House is only going to celebrate American history, even though Black history is a part of American history, but we know that to be otherwise over the last few years. So, in all seriousness, though, like let's just make sure we're staying informed. Let's make sure we're staying educated. Um, I know one thing that's been helping me in terms of like obtaining correct information, obtaining self care, obtaining peace is just reading books. So far, I think I did it in my last podcast. So far, I've read Rich Paul Lucky Me, a memoir of changing the odds. And then I also read the first cartoonist that won a Pulitzer Prize, Darren Bell on The Talk. Very good books to read. I'm trying to read a book a month. I read these both in January. Not gonna lie, started both of these. I didn't start them from scratch in January, but I finished them. And then I have a next read coming up. So I'm excited. During this time, make sure, like, obviously we have work to do. We're trying to make this country better for everybody and anybody. Stay informed. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Make sure there's a level of self care. Spend time with your loved ones and your family. Get out in the community, get active. Let's hold each other accountable. Let's love one another, and let's make sure that we're not downputting each other as we try to learn. Every day, you should be a seeker of knowledge. If you know, you know. And you should want to help others. Let's not chastise people because we don't know certain things. You don't know people's background. You don't know where they came from. You don't know what they were taught in K through 12. You don't know what they were taught in their college curriculum because let's be honest, when everybody goes to college, you're trying to get into your major, you're trying to get into your career. It's going to change your life. So let's just make sure we're staying informed. Let's make sure that we're celebrating one another. Let's make sure that we're loving one another. Um, this podcast is really short. This week is just all about information. Be careful of the information that you take in. Make sure that you're evaluating your information. Make sure that you're double cross examining your information. It's nothing wrong with trusting people, but it's okay to do your own research. Research is key. Don't just take what somebody says for granted because the minute you interpret information, it becomes biased depending on how you spit it to somebody else without factor evidence. So for this week, for Black and Brown businesses, I'd like to shout out Yin Yin, which is owned by Kelvin and Melena Lasso Beacon. I do apologize if I mispronounced. I feel like I got it right this time, Kelvin. Also, other businesses that you can look into. I'm drawing a blank right now. You can look into Clout clothing line. I always do this. I get on here and I just don't remember the Black and Brown business, but there's so many. Let's make sure that we're keeping the Black and Brown dollar in the community. The dollar of the Black and Brown community only stays in the neighborhood for about 18 hours, maybe 24 if we're lucky. So let's make sure that we're starting to support our Black-owned businesses. I'll have some every week. Oh, Anthony Stratford Photography is one. Read Between the Lens is one. Only I'm forgetting Aaron. Aaron, don't beat me up. I'm sorry. Let's see. Only AB. I'm gonna get this right. Open Gym Network, Open Gym Podcast. Those are some Black and Brown businesses that you can check out. Make sure that we're supporting one another. Make sure that we're loving one another, and let's really uplift and build our community. Um, yeah, I'm trying not to say as much. However, I have so much on my mind. And, let's just make sure we're supporting one another, loving one another, and let's just keep up the good work. Peace and chicken grease.